Is it time? All right. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to this session on GenZee culture, destructive creativity, sex, music, gaming, mental health, and social media, DCSMMS Part 4, organized by Agidigbo Abuad, Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, Journal of Humanities. My name is Tyra Abiodun from Olabisi Onabanjo University, and I'm chair of this section. I'll be sharing this section. Let me quickly introduce discussants, panelists. I will start from the order of the program. I have Yetunde Ayobolu from Kolada University, who will be talking on streaming apps and music consumption among the youths. And then I want to go equally introduce the second presenter, Anthony Iboja from Prince Abubakar Audu University, who also will be discussing age-grade system as agent of indigenous socialization and sustainable development in the North Central Nigeria. The third presenter is Ayela Okusa, who will be talking on exploring chaos as order, a literary approach to GenZee culture in Hanje Thomas, the hate you give, the hate you give. And lastly, I will also be presenting on the GenZee body generation, Afropop music, sex, and African moral values. Let's quickly start this section, starting from the first presenter, Yetunde Ayobolu. Please, you have the floor. Please, you have just 12 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I just said it also wanted, well, I see representing Dr. Yetunde Ayobolu. I'll speak on streaming apps and music consumption among the youths. As a form of introduction, we all know that over the years, streaming apps have become an in-house thing where youths also together news, entertainment, and the likes. It provides them the avenue to listen to music of different genres, different textures, and the likes. Now, an introduction I have is music has long been a cornerstone of human culture and expression, serving as a means of connecting individuals across different contexts and eras, from ancient rituals to contemporary entertainment. Music role in society reflects its profound impact on emotional and cultural experience. Now, what we are looking at here is that we are looking at how music has been a connection between generations, how it has connected the ancient eras to the new contemporary era. Now, how this has been done and has been modernized through the help of different streaming apps that has helped youth to get access to different music from different genres, different authors, different artists at different times. Now, it says here that traditional music industry. Now, we all know that traditional music industry relies solely on things like tape recorders, tape music players, the film players where we make use of the gramophone-like music players. But with the help of this new technology, where we are talking about streaming apps, people now get music on the go without needing to be at a particular position to listen to their music. It says the structure allowed for a controlled and predictable music landscape. Now, basically, with the help of streaming apps now, people can easily control the flow of music in the society. But with this, despite the fact that we can control it, there are still some downsides to it, which is one of the things we'll be looking at here. Now, I'll move into the statement of problem. The emergence of streaming applications have revolutionized the way music is accessed and consumed, particularly among the young audience. The traditional music methods such as radio and CDs is increasingly being replaced by digital platforms. Over the past 10 years, beginning with YouTube, the way we access music now has changed. Unlike before, when we make use of CDs, tape players, and the likes. Now, with streaming up, with the introduction of YouTube Music, people now get access to different music at different time with their convenience, without needing to sit down with the radio or sit down with a DVD player to listen to such music. The shift right raises questions about how these streaming services are influencing the listening habits, musical preferences, and overall engagement with music. Now, we all believe that, we all agree that with all these streaming apps, it's kind of influencing the way youths nowadays listen to different music. They tend to get access to music that has a way of influencing their character, their behavior in the society. Now, however, this extent of the influence, particularly in terms of how it affects the diversity of music being consumed and time spent listening, requires further exploration. Now, which is what we would be looking at with this paper. Now, moving on to the objectives. Now, we have three major objectives. The first one is talking about to determine the to determine the factors that influence preference of streaming apps over traditional music consumption method. Here we'll be looking at what are those things, what are those motivation that makes youths to decide to go for these streaming apps rather than making use of our traditional method of music consumption. We also have to examine how streaming application impacts music listening habits. Now, with these streaming applications, how are they influencing the way youths listen to music? How are they influencing the way they access this music they consume? Then we have to determine the advantages the disadvantages users encounter while utilizing streaming applications. Now, we all know that everything that has a positive part definitely has a negative impact. So we'll be looking at how these things, how they affect our youth, how it affects them in different aspects of their life. Moving on. To understand the concept of this research, we'll look at some literatures where we'll talk about streaming applications. Now we look at what exactly are streaming applications. Then we also look at the key characteristics of these streaming applications. What are those things that makes them unique from our traditional method of accessing music? Then we look at the different types of music streaming application. That's where we talked about the likes of YouTube, Spotify, and the likes. Then we talk about streaming services and audience consumption of music. That is, what we are looking at is streaming services itself. How is it affecting the way, how is it related to the consumption level of people when it comes to music? Then we have the advantages of streaming platforms to music consumers. So moving on, we'll be talking about the theoretical foundation of this work. Now, to better understand this work, we are making use of two different theories, which is the use and gratification theory and the technological determinism theory. Now, the use and gratification theory here is chosen because we are looking at, we know that use and gratification theories basically talks about people making use of a particular thing because of what they are intended to get from that instrument. So we are looking at the reason why people actually, youths especially, decide to make use of these streaming platforms, what they derive from it, the benefits and the gain they derive from it. Then the technological determinism theory, which is the next one. The technological determinism theory here presumes that the society technology is driven to drives the development of a social structure and cultural value. The term is believed to be coined by Thorstein Weber in 19. Now, what we are looking at is the technological determinism theory. We're looking at how these new streaming platforms, how they influence development, how they help the society with different music availability and the likes. Now, the last sentence here said, with the advent of music streaming application, the landscape of music consumption has undergone a significant transformation. That is, with the rise in music streaming platforms, music has now gone beyond the traditional method of consumption. It has gone far and wide that people can easily have access to different forms of music. So now we'll be moving on to the empirical review. Now we reviewed some work, but I'm talking just about three of them. Now we have the influence of social media on music
Nigerian Music Consumer Behavior by Timothy Godfrey. That was done in the Department of Music, University of Nigeria. Now, Timothy Godfrey looked at how social media has influenced the consumers' behavior of music, how it has affected the way they consume different music over time. Then the second one is the impact of music industry digital innovation on economic development. We all know that every thing we involve in one way or the other has a way it influences our economy. Now, it's looking at how the music industry is improving the country's economy. Now, through this, it creates a form of a framework to how the streaming industry now, how they affect the economic growth of the country. Then we have the digitalization and new trends in Nigerian music industry. Now we are talking about digitalization. Streaming itself falls under digitalization. So the researcher here is looking at how digitalization is improving the Nigerian music industry. We would all agree that in the past 15 years, music in Nigeria has gone beyond what it used to be. Now, in those days where in the eras of people like Sonny Ade, Obey, and the likes, they record music for a very long period, hours of music and the like, and they still sell it at cheaper rates. But nowadays, with streaming platforms, people record music, just 3 minutes music and the like, and they tend to make lots over it. So those are what we're looking at. Then we're moving on to the research methodology. For this research, we decided to use the descriptive research design with survey method as, then we use questionnaire as the instrument for data collection. Since we are focused on youth and students, so questionnaire seems to be the most effective way of reaching them to get the data easily. Then the population is based on Koladaisi University students with a total of 994 students, but out of that, we make use of simple random sampling technique where we selected just 150 respondents, which cut across all faculties in the university. Then a descriptive data analysis was used to analyze the data gathered, and the results were presented in frequencies, tables, and charts. Now, the findings of the research. Now, the first research objective, which was to determine the factor that influenced preference of streaming apps over the traditional media consumption method. Now, we would see that we have different breakdown of responses from our respondents, and most of them strongly agreed to every item on the questionnaire given to them. Then the next one, we have to examine how streaming application impacts music listening habits. Now, when we look at the first one, it says students more likely to discover new music through streaming applications than through traditional music media sources. Now, with streaming apps, students generally, they get access to the latest music. Once a music is being released, they get to hear it immediately. Unlike when we use the traditional music, whereby it is until you hear it or probably on radio or something before you know, oh, this music is out, let me get my tape or something. But with the streaming app now, they get the information almost immediately. Those music come out. Some even get a stipend or like an intro of the music before its actual release, more like a teaser through those streaming apps. So the third objective, which is to determine the disadvantages users encounter while utilizing streaming applications. Now, the first item here, which has the more responses, the convenience and portability of streaming applications outweighs traditional music consumption method. That is, the level of convenience people derive from these streaming apps makes it more easier for them to access music. Then it says the usability and user interface of music streaming application apps uses meets satisfaction of most users. That is, with streaming applications, consumers are easily satisfied. They get access to what they actually want when they want it. Unlike the traditional media, probably where we are relying on radio houses to play music, you can't detect what you get from them. But with streaming app, you can have your own customized playlist where you listen to what you actually want to listen to, not what you are being given. So we'll be moving to the key findings of this study. Now, the first key finding says that students prefer streaming apps because they are simple to use, they don't cost too much, and they offer recommendation, making their media experience more enjoyable and tailored to their taste. Now, what this is talking about after considering all the data gotten, we realized that the streaming apps give students easy access, low cost to making use of this streaming app. It saves them more time. It gives them access on the go. Then we also have students really enjoy using streaming app for music because they help them find new songs. Now we know that this generation easily gets bored once they keep listening to the same thing, or keep listening to the same thing over time. But with streaming apps, you get varieties of music, you get jazz, rock, R&B, and the likes. So you have varieties. You can easily switch from one music to another without getting bored on a particular music. Then we have high satisfaction with convenience and portability. Now, what do we mean by convenience and portability? We can easily move around with our phone and AirPods plugged in, listening to music everywhere you go, without you having to carry around a transistor radio or a tape player. Then we have the positive usability experience. Now, when we are talking about positive usability experience here, we are talking about the users getting what they want. Because when you say positive, it means it's giving you what you actually want. So with the positive experience users are getting from the streaming app, they tend to use it more, which increases their experience when listening to music. Then we have some recommendations. Now, the first recommendation here says streaming platforms should prioritize user experience, continually innovating interfaces and recommendation upgrading, thereby catering to diverse preferences and listening habits to foster greater engagement and loyalty among users. Now, we would all agree that everybody has different tastes for music. My taste for music is different from everybody's taste for music here. So what make use of streaming app? We are recommending that streaming apps should look at everybody's taste and give them recommendations on music based on those tastes. Now, for someone who loves R&B, it should not, the streaming app should not give them recommendations on rock music or jazz music. It will be a kind of a turn off for their preference for such platform. But when they keep getting the recommendations on the different genres of music they are in love with, it gives them that form of loyalty to that music app as a brand. Then the last recommendation which I have here is stakeholders across music industry should collaborate to ensure fair compensation for artists through transparent royalty structure and revenue sharing model, thus supporting artist development and incentivizing creativity. Now, what we are talking here about is that now it is not enough for artists to have their music out there. While having your music out there, there's a need for you to get enough royalties from all these streaming apps and like so as to increase the level of commitment to producing quality music at every opportunity you have. Because you know that when we if their act is not being incentivized enough, they tend to just decide that okay, since they are not paying me, let me just release different music over time. Now, when they release lots of music, they still get money, but the music that is being released would not be of quality to the audience that are actually listening to this music. So that's just our submission for this paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a little because we are able to discuss That's very wonderful. Thank you. Seats. Where we want to take all the presentation at once, so then later we can then give opportunity to the audience to respond to all the presentations as a whole. So without much ado, we would like to move to the next presenter. And please help me check if someone is waiting online. I think we're supposed to have 4 discussants. We are 3. So help check if the 4th person is actually waiting somewhere online. Yeah, of course, yes. It's online. Okay, Mr. Ayila Okusu, you are...
Yes, sir, I am here. Dr. Ayila Okusa from Namaste University, sir.
Yeah, you are recognized. So just wait there online. It will soon be your turn, okay? Let's take Anthony Ugoja from Prince Abubakar Audu University, who will be talking about age grade system as agents of indigenous socialization and sustainable development in the North Central Nigeria. You have 10 minutes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah. My topic of discussion today is age grade system and agent of indigenous services and sustainable development in Igala, the North Central Nigeria. The paper is an opinion paper. As a way of introduction, this company wants to look at the conflict between the native intelligence and artificial intelligence among the youth of talent and GenZee industry. That's why I looked at an agent of culture. One of them is age grade. I want to use 10 ways to discuss this conflict of culture. Then, as a way of introduction, I want to define age grade according to this paper. Age grade, according to this paper, is a group of people who are born in the same cohort they grew up. So, looking at this age grade, they have a lot of roles they play in our traditional society. So I want you to reason with me that everyone you see today have a community where you are coming from. And these communities have culture, they have role, they have way of sustaining their culture. Then age grade is one of these agents that a community or some community use to transmit the values and norms of their culture from generation to generation. So over time, we begin to express the depth of culture, which result in the social vices in the society. Because in the main paper, because this is a slide, I didn't bring out the table where I have different age grade in a traditional society. I use a particular local government, a Baji local government area of Kogi State, because I limited my work to Igala ethnic group of North Central Nigeria. And looking at the Igala ethnic groups, I want us to also look at the Igala. There are factors when you divide Nigeria into two, we have the North and the South. In the South, there are factors that motivated the establishment of age grade. Because if you look at the North, there is no established age grade. Something is responsible. From the finding of this paper, we discovered that even before the colonial masters, there is a system of government that our forefathers operate. Those system of government, the North, under their own leadership, have a kind of centralized government. When the leader have the supreme power and the subject report to the leaders directly. But in the South-South and the Southeast, you will discover that there is no centralized government. Okay? Every man is equal to his neighbor. So that is what gave the room for an established age grade system. What they have an established age grade system and council of elders. So this is what gave birth to this, because I am from Ibadan local government area of Kogi State. But in Ibadan local government area of Kogi State, you will see an established age grade. But when you look at other parts of the Igala ethnic, there's no age grades. So what gave birth to that is that my local government, which is the Ibadan local government area, share a border with the Southeast, the Anambra West, and the Enugu State. So by so doing, we borrow culture from them. And one of the culture we borrow from them is the age grade. So, and the age grade has three main values. One, they contribute to social interaction, the politics of the community. Two, they help in building the economy of the community. How do they do that? If the community wants any community development projects, you go through the age grades. Each age grade has leader, and the general community have a council where every age grade leader will meet. And when a decision is taken, then the function of the leader of each age grade is to make sure that those functions are implemented. These are roles that age grades play in helping to build socio-economic of the community. Okay, so looking at sustainable development goal, so I want to tie them together. How did age grade help in sustainable development goal? The objective of a sustainable development goal is 17. But this 17 can be tied to 3. One is to build a strong structure that will sustain the physical economy. Another one is to build a strong culture that will promote the poor, zero poverty. Then another one is to help building the health. Okay, these 3 are something that we can find as the major focus of age grade in an indigenous community. So, okay, if the slide is there, you can go to statement of problem. All right. So, why is this important at this time? That's what I have at the statement of problem. Yeah. There is a significant decline in fundamental social values and moral among GenZee generation, leading to increase in social unrest and vices that threaten community peace and unity. So these days, you find out a generation that does not value those terms, those culture. You will see a university student that does not know how to speak his or her language, and they feel nothing is wrong with that. And when you talk about issues that borders on community development, they see it as nothing. But the fact, what we believe in is you speak English, you learn, and other things. So that aspect of culture that leads to social development, that leads for economic development in the traditional society is being abandoned. So that's why this paper become very necessary at this point. So I have 2 theories to form the background for this study. One is the theory of age grade by Thompson and Lobbs. The theory of age grade said that age grade is an agent for social development. So I tie this study to that. And another one is theory of structural theory of poverty. The version that was argued by Bradshaw, 2007. And what did he say? The theory posits that the systemic, economic, social, and political structure is limiting access to resource and opportunity. So he's saying that the issue of poverty among the youth is limited opportunity to resources. So if leaders look at this aspect of culture that can help building economic, social, and political development in the society, so it will help to minimize or reduce the level of poverty in the society. So in the slide you move to, you will see where I have sustainable development goal. Okay. By definition, this sustainable development goal is a UN framework aimed at meeting human development needs while preserving natural system, the integration of economic development, social development, and environmental protection. So that's why I say that if this aspect of culture is preserved, just like the 10 commandments of God can be summarized into two: the love of God and the love of your neighbor as yourself. So these 17 goals can be summarized into three. One is development of needs, preserving natural resources, okay, integrating economic development and social development, and environmental protection. So if these three things have been achieved in line with the objective of age grade, so humanity can be better and the achievement of sustainable development goal can be realized. Then in conclusion, poverty and social crisis persist among the GenZee generation, necessitating urgent measures to curb them to meet sustainable development goals by encouraging the values and morals enshrined in the culture, such as age grades and other indigenous organizations. Recommendation. This paper recommends, among others, that age grade as a traditional institution facilitate indigenous socialization, economic and social development, and physical protection, serving as effective platform for empowerment and social programs in rural communities. Therefore, government at all levels are encouraged to use age grade as a platform for socialization in most programs in rural communities, since there is an already established model of operandi to implement indigenous curriculum. 2, age grade should be established within the third task of government to encourage indigenous participation in social programs for sustainable development goal in Nigeria. 3, government at all levels should encourage Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, and Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs at the local government area to extend establishment of age grades in the local area in Nigeria for sustainable development. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. We have just listened to Anthony Boja from British Bank Service on the seats. Are you there? Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Yes, sir. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we are there. We'd like to take something, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Ayila Okusa
Said?
about exploring chaos and order, a literary approach to GenZee culture in Jenny Thomas, the 8 you give. So you have the floor. You can go on with your presentation.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. Good morning, colleagues and co-panelists. I am Dr. Ayila Okusa from the Department of Languages, exploring chaos as a form of order, a literal approach to GenZee culture in Angie Thomas you give. By way of introduction, I have summed up my introduction into two These two quotations, one is much more an information which I got from a library that was trying to give a teaser to books it has on GenZee. And that we read, which I'm trying to emphasize here, is GenZee
Any thoughts? So, Ila, we'll give you just 1 minute more to come.
rather the one teaching.
He's back.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Go.
All right. So from the quotation above which I gave, you will agree with me that there is an inversion. The order is inverted, where the younger generation is rather the one teaching the older generation and warning it about this, the society in which we live. And of course, it says clearly that the OK Boomer generation will simply give a suggestion, but the culture or the Gen Z generation here stands a better position to even encourage and warn its own elders in the world in which we live. That's actually a kind the system upside down. Others may query that, but that's the reality which we have found in which we have found ourselves. The next quotation summarizes introduction is from a very popular scholar, Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf. She said, some asked about modern fiction. She said, I quote, today than I was yesterday, having this afternoon arrive at some go out that they missed. You see, you will agree with me here again. And exciting in a Woolf as a writer is the fact that the novel is becoming dim, in the sense that it is not to be, it is not going to be understood. It will be understood, however, it will not be as clear as we thought. For example, those of you who may be in literature, you understand where people use society, use art gives to as change. It cannot be so. So, and literary scholars will agree with me in this case again, when you read Joyce's Ulysses. The matter is that it is quite crepuscular. Somebody said, for you to understand the text, you have not read it. Ideas that also as a form of order. Of course, chaos is an order in the sense that it is another form of order that had known. And for those of us who may be come with the troubles, it's the same trend. All of them are within the umbrella of modernism, where the construction consistently questions what has been known to be the truth. Now, the aim of this study is simply to explore the influence of Gen Z in a probable world, with the focus on its culture, which is social justice, and to you give. The paper examines social justice and identity as a path as part of the major issues in the Gen Z culture today. The following key theory to the close of the in order to examine the culture of Gen Z. And queer theory enables us to see the world in a new way and to look anew even at a text from dimension that could be considered to be chaotic. Literature review of this on this work has just been summarized into just two. The existing literature has GenZee. That's a full name for that Gen Z. With the millennia here is referring to the immediate generation to which most of us belong. The generation before, after us, we have the Gen Z. So with the millennial generation and the Gen X, which is the generation before us, together with them or together with us, despite their weaknesses, Gen Z can form a synergy that can review the social institution or social institutions that better reflect the needs of digital age human. Whether we like it or not, we are in it. We can't shy away from it. We can't look for ways to run away from it. How we can progress ourselves. So Gen Z, with all its weaknesses, if they go into synergy with the transition, it will rather build a better and a needed digital age human. And the last point, we found out that one of the Gen Z's major weaknesses is to know how to operate within the existing institutions and hierarchies. And this can sometimes lead to standards, the previous generation that are still in existence. Now, I was find here about order. As I earlier said, Gen Z stands for completely. It challenges the hate you give. We have seen evidences that characterize a set of people. We find the major character in this text. Star is a lady of almost 17, 18 years old. She is in high school for identity, but then she goes beyond the values of the Black in her community to a white guy. Her father himself is someone who is obsessed with his race and would not want anybody to have something doing with white. And we don't want Blacks to have anything doing with white. His own daughter is dating a white guy. He resisted that, but in the end, he couldn't continue the resistance. Again, there's this white guy called Chris who is dating and Star. And the guy is so free in his mind. He belongs to the society. He is of the identity known as white, but he does not belong to the class of white, which oftentimes emphasize the white supremacy. So here he has a free mind, and his mindset is also associated with the fact of he being of this generation, Gen Z, who do not have a damn, or don't give a damn rather, to what people think, but what is good for them. So he relates well with the white, and he relates well with the Black at the same time. So in this case, we are seeing how Angie Thomas's The Help to Give is simply a portrayal of the Gen Z culture, which stands for the new order we have seen in the society. And of course, Even when I was listening to some of my colleagues, I just agreed with the fact that they are actually a form of chaos. The other GenZee stands for is actually a form of chaos, but in this case, chaos in code. The second finding was that there is a clarity of self-identity for the purpose of pushing back against unwanted pressure. GenZee have actually understood who they are, they know what they are, and they go for what they are. In the text, we have seen Star from the first appearance in the public. He is seen in the in a party with stepsisters. This girl invited her to the party. She's there for the very first time. She moves around, and the girl told her, "No, do around with it the way you are doing, because people may interpret it to be something else." And he said he does not care. Rather, she does not care for whatever people think of. All she wants is what she wants. So it is a kind of the Gen Z generation is the kind of generation that knows what it wants, stands for it, and goes for it. Again, when there was a problem in the party and violence erupted, Khalil, a character in that text, decided to help Star out of the place. But on their way home, a white man killed Khalil. Here, we find Star standing up to push aside every form of a misconception the conventional media was trying to give to the population, and she could say what she knew about the murder of Khalil. The third finding here is that there is a continuous experimentation with. Yes, sir.
Conclusion, please.
All right, I'll do that. Continuous experimentation with the new outlets of communities, and a hopeful generation is Gen Z. They are actually quite hopeful. So for conclusion, we have found out that the study of Gen Z here is very critical in reshaping our socio-political and economic realities. Hence, the portrayal of Gen Z in literature gives us a clearer picture of who they are, what they pursue, and how they pursue what they pursue. This deepens our insight into their peculiarity and further our inspiration on innovation, on how they respond to social reality and the digital defined society we find ourselves today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely presentation. Your network almost prevented us from the beautiful and lovely takeaways. Thank you. That is the presentation from Ayila Akusa, Adamawa State University. Please stay online for questions and some interrogations via your presentation by the audience. Those lovely takeaways from your paper, I jot them down. I said the Gen Z does not give a damn. Said it, the Gen Z does not give a damn. Gen Z, a form of chaos, but chaos in quotes. And then all she wants is what she wants. So those are lovely pieces from you. From the first presenter also, Yetunde Ayodele, who uses technological determinism theory and uses gratification theory to interrogate streaming apps. It's a very lovely engagement. It's a very lovely one. And then my friend from Prince Abubakar Audu University, Anthony Ugoja, who is talking about the decline of value system among Gen Z generation, situating that within the purview of integrated system. We are coming to you also. Let me quickly also do my own presentation as the last presenter for this session. And my name once again is Biodun Luka from Olabisi Onabanjo University, and I shall be presenting on the topic, the Gen Z body generation, Afro-pop music, sex, and African moral values. Please, my slide. In recent years, the African music scene has been a buzz. When I say about people, what people discuss online with keen, let me say, the feeling of excitement. People are already excited in discussing Gen Z online. So that's why I use the word ABUZZ, a buzz, okay? With the rise of Gen Z artists who are redefining the sound style, and sensibility of Afropop music. This new wave of musicians, exemplified by the likes of Tiwa Savage, Wizkid, and Davido, has not only captured the heart of young Africans, but also sparked intense debates about the intersection of music, sex, and African moral values. The Gen Z body generation in particular has been at the forefront of these cultural shifts, embracing a more liberal and expressive approach to music, sex, and relationships. However, this shift has also raised concerns among older generations. And when I say older generation, we have the millennials as one of them, who worry that the explicit content and suggestive lyrics of modern Afropop music are eroding or targeting traditional African moral values. This study seeks to explore the complex dynamics between Gen Z Afropop music, sex, and African moral values by examining the lyrics of music videos and cultural content of popular Afropop songs. The study will delve into the ways in which this music reflects and shapes the values, attitudes, and behaviors of young Africans. Ultimately, the study aims to spark a nuanced and informed conversation about the role of music in shaping African cultural identity and moral values in the 21st century. Methodology. The study adopts content analysis to analyze the lyrics and music videos of popular Afropop songs to identify themes, motifs, and patterns related to sex, relationship, and identity. Aim once again, by exploring the complex dynamics between Gen Z, Afropop music, sex, and African moral values, the study aimed to contribute to a deeper understanding of the ways in which music reflects and shapes cultural identity, values, and norms. The theoretical framework. Several theoretical perspectives have been used to examine the relationship between music, sex, and moral values. But in this paper, I shall be using social learning theory, SLT by Bandura, 1977, which suggests that young people learn about sex and relationships through observing and imitating the behaviors and attitudes of others, including musicians, of course. People live the life of the musician, the life the musician want them to live, okay? And I shall interrogate that in my analysis. Cultural studies theory also from Fall 1997 emphasizes the importance of understanding the cultural context. Why I chose cultural studies theory to intertwine with social learning theory is because Gen Z culture is an ongoing discussion, okay, which is tilting towards understanding the mind of Gen Z. Of course, a project of UNESCO is a very recent project, okay, that is ongoing, talking about the mind of the Gen Z. And that is why that cultural study theory is germane to my paper. Discussion now. The intersection of music, sex, and African moral values. In many African cultures, sex is considered a taboo topic, and explicit discussions of sex are often discouraged. However, Gen Z Africans are increasingly pushing back against these traditional norms, using social media and music as platforms to express their own views on sex, relationships, and identity. Afropop music and sexuality. Research has shown that Afropop music often contains explicit lyrics and suggestive imagery that can influence young people's attitude and behaviors regarding sex and relationship, Ogundipo 2015 and Okemo 2013. For example, a study of African and Nigerian Afropop music found that many songs contains lyrics that objectified women and promoted casual sex. And this is an argument from Adeniji 2017. Olayemi 2021, also from Olabisi Onabanjo University, sees women in Afropop music videos being portrayed as edibles from Okwambata, Journal of Humanity. So women portrayed as edibles. That is the extreme ends of objectification. And African moral values and sexuality, which is the second dependent variable of this study, the African moral values and sexuality now. African moral values regarding sex and relationships are shaped by a complex array of cultural, religious, and historical factors in between 1969 or 1978. Research has shown that many African cultures place a strong emphasis on modesty, chastity, and respect for elders and tradition. Ojo 2009 and Korea 2010. However, the influence of collaboration, globalization, and urbanization has led to changes in traditional moral values and practices regarding sex and relationship in 2017, Makinde 2018. The Gen Z body generation and Afro-pop music. Research has shown that the Gen Z body generation is highly influenced. Now, content analysis of selected Afro-pop lyrics. Sample 1 from Rema. Bad Commando. We all know that Rema is the writer of Bad Commando, and he says, bad man, them know. Them know say, I be bad commando. The position of African concept of having a good name is eroded here and dragged in the mud. In an African child who is proudly saying, if an African child is proudly saying that he's proud to say that he's bad. You know, we are not in this generation whereby when you do something, they say, oh, that bad boy, bad boy. Whereas what that person has done is something positive. Oh, bad guy. Okay. Sample 2, Ashake's Terminator. My banana, oh my banana, come chop my banana, show ni power, go ni kowa, elemi lo my last. In lines above, the African traditional culture is against all forms of sexual immoralities, chiefly in practice or in behavior, in thinking or in words. Banana there is a metaphorical statement for dick, prick, this and that. So come shop, prick, come shop, banana. This is tilting towards the angle of vulgarity, which is against the African moral philosophy that this paper is speaking to. Another last one, sample 5, which is Naira Marley Puta. Okay, sometime when I open Instagram, Simbashi star Idi Mani, okay, Idi Araba, Idi Oro, Idi Abajo, Idi Ere, Idi Gbalebe, Idi Mu, Pedi Jotalo Nijo, Nisun, Malo Bagbe Shisha, or something like that. Okay, Malo Bagbe Nipu, or something like that. So you can see all these songs are contextualized in the purview of the ongoing discussion on Gen Z by the discourse. Conclusion. The study highlighted the complex relationship between Afro-pop music, sex, and then African moral values among the Gen Z body generation. Further research, that is my recommendation now. Further research is needed to fully understand the ways in which Afro-pop music shapes and reflects the attitudes and behaviors of young Africans regarding sex and relationship. Thank you. We have just listened to the presentation of our 4 discussants in this last part of Gen Z culture, destructive creativity, sex, music, gaming, mental health, and social media. DC SMMS, a project organized by Agidi Buafe Babalola, University of Ado-Ekiti, Journal of the Humanities, and they will be welcoming your constructive and useful suggestions. Number 1, okay. Number 2, 3. So let's take it in that order.
Please, the voice taller, we have to come to it. But yeah, I shout wherever I shout. Or let me come all between so that even though my question is not for anybody online, so let me just say. I'll start with the last attempt because it's fresh in my memory. I towards the end of your paper, I really didn't see the thing that the paper should really have. Are you saying that because they're listening to bad lyrics, they have more sex? How did you find that? So I was looking for some empirical studies
asking people whether after listening to the music, you go and look for someone to have sex with. The other like does it influence your sex life as a Gen Z or not? That would be very, very important for that study. I didn't see that in that study. But the other general comments I would actually have was, I mean, I'm worried about the way we conceptualize Gen Z. And I'm actually deadly, whatever. And that dovetails to even the age grade thing. You know, I've got to get there properly because Gen Z is the age grade. They are millennials. So if you think that because they are Gen Z, they are not age grade, that's something wrong with that conceptualization. I mean, how we conceptualize Gen Z is people born between one certain year and this certain year. And consequently, if you do that, my question has constantly been, are all Gen Z online? You know, because we seem to not use what we see online to characterize them. We seem to, I mean, the last presenter seemed to even use the source of about 5 people to now say, oh, this is how all Gen Zs are. And I have one critical question. Is there nothing good about Gen Z? You know, no gospel song, none of them is singing gospel music. You know, no religious ones among them. They are all into sex, they are all into drugs, they are all into, and they all bad. You know, so I feel that the conceptual analysis about Gen Z, you know, if you reduce them to age alone, if age is critically defining that generation, then it will have to cover the good, the bad, and the ugly. I didn't see that in a lot of these presentations. You know, they do, I mean, people are not characterizing the good side. For instance, I would have thought please take notes, this question, it's over. The second presenter, who talked about age grade, for instance, to look at the economic value of the Gen Z, which is where you're going. I mean, sustainable development. Because I didn't see, not as from your point I had issues with, maybe because you didn't follow your slide. You know, it was offline for a while. I had problem with what you're saying about age grade and sustainable development, you know. The age grade thing is a village thing, you know, and I know that a lot of parents, a lot of our people are cultural. Igbo people are very cultural. If they born you in Buckingham Palace, they will still introduce you to the age grade. Because a lot of time, to do anything back at home, marriage, burial, you will have to network with your age group. The traditional definition of age group. You understand? So I'm not sure that the age grade thing, it is not everywhere that the age grade thing is actually even applicable. Among the Yorubas, maybe the Jews. In my place, for instance, I'm not sure, you know, I didn't go about, I mean, I'm not sure the age grade thing is really a fundamental thing. So maybe it's not in all culture. Then two, about the age grade thing. You seem to make it appear that because some of your recommendations have seemed faulty to me, the federal government should establish institutions. The schooling system is an age grade thing. When you say, oh, you must enter secondary school by the age of 9 and graduate, but it's a age grade classification. You know, what it does, and that's not even Nigeria only, Canada, in UK, US, what it does is that you find these people of the same age.
Please be brief.
Around, I'm putting questions around a lot of people. As we are just so we say about now. You know, it puts a lot of people around the same age into the same class. You go together and the economy follows that pattern. So don't you see the schooling system, you know, as an age grade thing. So let me see. Let me come to the first presenter. This first presenter presented on maybe have a musical consumption among the youth. Eventually, I wasn't too clear when you got to recommendation parts what the goal of your research really was. Is it to make recommendation for the streaming house or to understand how the music consumption, arising from the streaming app, influence the Gen Z, or how they eventually behave and all that. I was looking for certain things that talk about that from your paper that actually incorporates aspects dealing with the consequences of those framing. For instance, most of the time people get carried away by this. And then the framing thing is no longer just able for the Gen Z, it's no longer a good thing. We all stream music irrespective of language. So I just wanted you to clarify that aspect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. The second person.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to the presenters for Thanks to the presenters for enriching our knowledge on the Gen Z, the Generation Z. So I have some questions for the presenters. Okay, thank you. Okay, now for the first presenter, although I came late, I actually met you when you were actually explaining your findings. Now, but I have an issue with the title, streaming apps and music consumption among the youths. Now, you may want to, I would like to humbly implore you to take note of Concord rules. Now, the youth, I believe you're not referring to just one person, are you? So please, the youth should be pluralized. Then again, the youths, are all youths Generation Z? Generation Z. So I think we need to clarify that. We have some youths that do not belong to the Z generation. So we want to clarify that. I also noticed that also in the second presenter when she said youth popularly known as Generation Z. We have some youths that do not belong to the Z generation. So we want to specify that. Then the 8th grade system, to enrich your work, we want to examine the different types of 8th grade system. It's an opinion paper. Then along the line, I was thinking, when you said an opinion paper, I actually thought it's kind of empirical because I saw something like statement of a problem. So it's a good framework. So now my question is, the theories you actually deployed, how did you deploy them? What are the objectives that they are used to achieve in your work? So I want to know what are the objectives, how did you use them? Then also to the third presenter, the last presenter rather, sorry. Yes, I would like to know, how did you get the songs? How did you get them? I'm not sure you wrote that in your methodology. How did you get there? Then also, you said you subjected your work to context analysis. Is it context or content? Content analysis. Now, if somebody outside Nigeria, if anybody outside Nigeria sees your work, it may be difficult for the person to understand. Even though you said you said content analysis, if you want to look for a theory of content, like all those content, there are some Gen Z language that somebody in Texas, somebody who is not in Nigeria may not really understand. So you may need a theory of context to buttress that, such that somebody outside the region will understand what you're trying to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next. I want to commend the presenters, at least the two that I was privileged to listen to the presentation. That brilliant presentation. Thank you very much. Well, my question for Dr. Anthony, I'm particularly fascinated by your presentation, especially trying to draw age grade, something that so far, and then linking up it all with sustainable development. I'm just curious how, because I'm your presentation, I still do not actually see the link. I mean, maybe if you try to probably just list out the functions of age grade and then link it up with the what SDGs hope to achieve, maybe be able to draw some, clear links around that line. That's that. And then my comment for the last presenter. I guess this is the first presentation that will particularly be discussing sex. That is one of the major things in the GenZee pattern. Most times when we talk, within the African discourse, time when we discuss sex, we often all the time, most times say that Africans don't like to talk about sex in the public, or we are conservative about it, and some of those stuff. It's not true. It's not true. There are even very many African proverbs that are sexual. I call them sexuality proverbs. And I have 3 published articles on sexuality proverbs. And sexuality proverbs are in thousands. I actually curated them, at a point. You may want to look at that. It's not true. But maybe the influence of Christianity and Islam, but it's on Africa to say that people, Africans or Yoruba people, don't discuss sex in the public space. It's not true. I also want to look, I also have a work on obesity and Janet. 2 popular, Fuji Nigerian musicians who are notorious for their, lewd, lyrical music. People, generally want to say that, they don't listen to lewd music. They are too vulgar and all of that, but it's not true. In that work, they're able to. Janet is popular. People don't want to listen to it, but millions of albums got sold. Yes, obesity, and they're not even Gen Z's. I want to just look at those aspects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to respond to those things as fast as possible. Let me start by responding to the second question asked by the second person, talking about content and context. I'm not talking about content analysis. It's contextuality, that is bringing lyrics to text and then running a qualitative analysis on them. That's what I said, context. And then coming to this discussion is open-ended anyway, so there is no point of this is being dogmatic in anything. It's open-ended. And I say this, Afro-pop talking about sex, whether those things is actually talking about sex.
No. Whether they now lead to sex. Listening to music is a different thing. We lead
whether it's content,
whether it's not you. That has to be qualitative analysis.
I say this, Afro-pop is leading on the youth towards sex. You see, when you hear some come my banana, come shop, where do you think some pastors shun their daughters and giving from listening to those songs? Okay, instead of that, listen to this, like a lyric switch from
you get my question, and it is important that you fight.
Okay.
Does it make you, after listening to this music, does it now make them to unnecessarily have? Is there a link that now says that they now necessarily have them?
The paper did not.
Did you find? No. Okay, no more comments.
Well, as a presenter and as a share, I say this topic is open-ended, and we all have to maintain a stand. That's our stand anyway. This paper is not actually talking about sex. I said that those African lyrics is leading on the mind of the Gen Zs towards tilting towards sexuality. As much as I am concerned, that is my stand on this paper. Now, to kill our curiosity, or to prompt our curiosity, rather, there are so many thematic preoccupation topics on sex. It is only unfortunate that we are 4 here. You talk about gospel, and I say Gen Z gospel writers didn't submit their papers here, and maybe they will do later. I think maybe we have 5 discussants, and the 5th person is talking about Gen Z gospel. That, of course, you will enjoy what you are saying. But the 4 of us that are here, Okay, picked up paper. One is talking about age grade, another is talking about streaming apps. I'm carrying out a comparative analysis on ODs and what is in vogue now. Talking about the killing of African morality, moral philosophy, bringing that into GenZee. That is what the three of us or the people who are presented today are doing. Maybe more papers will come. And I say that the age of cooking and eating of junk foods. Okay, I have a lot of outline of papers here that you can work on aside what we three have presented here. And I also say the age of home chores and ironing of maids. Okay, and I say every facial makeups, the wear of exotic long hair attachment, Yahoo boyfriends, hotel lodgings, hookups, threesomes, sexual engagement, and I say nude wears, selfie shots, the nude pictures posting on social media outlets to attract followers, online dating and chatting, content creating to cause traffic online, blogging and vloggers, Afro-pop songs, advocates and apologists, gaming, betting, naira bet, truth and dare, payment of fines. If you are unable to remove one pants, you pay fine. So truth and dare. So we have a lot of ongoing discussion on GenZee. We have vibe lovers. People like Portable because of the vibes. Okay. So look at that. Vibe lovers, hate of religion, ear dreading, locking, dying of ear, and current cut of ear styles. Okay. So these are ongoing discussion. Piercing of nose, ears, navel, and other sensitive parts of the body. Doing of drugs, alcoholism, blame shifting and ball passing, slangy expressions, abusiveness, vulgarity, violence, arrogance, ritualism, suicide, cheating in relationship, divorce, prostitution, cyberbullying, down to earth attitude, digital space and second home, and then phone and gadget addiction, social media, soft inconvenience. All of these are broad topics that anyone can pick and then come up with a very useful argument. Thank you. I leave the
Yes. Let me respond for that. Let me start from my editor, Dr. Noah. Yeah, your question is tied to how does age grades link to sustainable development. So I want to give you this because I was given one analogy that the 10 commandments of God can be tied to love your neighbor as yourself, the love of God. Therefore, there are 15 sustainable development goals, and they are the Sustainable Development Goal (SDG) is a UN framework aimed at meeting human development needs while preserving natural systems. They integrate economic development, one, social development, and environmental protection to ensure sustainable resources use and use for the well-being of the society. So I think these are three major key points of sustainable development. Then the role of age grades system in achieving SDG. One, age grade system contribute to SDG by what? Promoting community development, welfare services, social control, and infrastructural maintenance, thereby supporting economic growth, social cohesion, and environmental sustainability at the local level. So if these can be achieved, then it supports the achievement of sustainable development. I think that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to respond at once to
Okay.
the other question.
This is fast about
Yes. GenZee, not age grade. No, age grade is not tied to a particular person. Age grades start from, if I was able to share the table I have with you, we have from even the people at 90, they still have their age grades. It starts from a particular age. From my community, if we are up to 15 to 16, they will start forming their own age. They call them Utudubi, meaning the last age grade. So when they come together, they begin to discuss, they assemble, they will gather, write their names, begin to, and when you are one of them, if you are involved in any social crime, they fine you, they discipline you, therefore controlling social crisis. Okay, it is run from that age to you die. Each group people at the same age level have their own grades. They meet, they discuss, they kind of try to shape how a member of their age behave. You say, is there nothing good about GenZee children? A lot of things are good about them, but this paper is not looking at that direction. It's looking at another direction at this point. Age grade is not everywhere, like you asked. I said it before, and I said a factor is responsible for that. Before the colonial masters, there is a system of government that gave room to age grade, and it's particularly people in the southeast and south. That is where we have formidable age grades. And I say I am from the north central in the Igala Kingdom, but my local government is situated around the southeast, and that is the Anambra West and Enugu State. Therefore, we borrow that culture in my local government. The entire local government have age grade, but we move to the neighboring local government like Ida and Yagba, they don't have. Okay, so now I've mentioned what is responsible for that. The decentralized government and centralized government before the colonial masters. You agree with me? That was why when the colonial masters came to the north, they were able to succeed easily because there's an established authority that you can get the ruler and control the subject. It was difficult in the southeast because every individual is equal to his neighbor.
Thank you for that contribution to this robust discussion. Thank you very much. Now,
thank you very much. I'll start with your question, sir. You said you will not find any aspect dealing with consequences. Now, looking at the topic of GenZee, consequences of streaming platforms of GenZee. But looking at the topic, we are talking about streaming apps and music consumption. We are not looking at the influence of the streaming apps. We are only looking at how these GenZees, how they consume music from those streaming apps, not the consequence of the streaming app on the GenZees. Then you said, okay, you made some corrections. Thank you very much for that. But you asked a question that are all youths GenZees? Now, if we should look at when we are talking about GenZee, the GenZee age starts from age around age 13 to age 28, while the millennial age starts from age 29 to 44. Now, when we are talking about youths, generally youths are classified as people between the age 15 to age 24.
That's someone that is authority.
Depending on.
let him make us clear.
I said generally. Now, why do I say? Now, mainly you asked that question. I went online to check. Now, to check for it, to confirm that. Now, let me read this out. Sorry, please. It says here that the youth age bracket is generally defined as the period between adolescence and adulthood, which with varying age range depending on the context. Now, in Nigeria, we have people who are around 44 claiming to be youths too. So it now said that the United Nations defines youths as individual between age 15 and age 44. Then we said, however, the Nigerian youth policy uses age 15 to age 29. So that's why I said generally. So since this paper now, we are looking at those within the age 15 to 24 years. And even the GenZee goes to, even if we extend it to age 29, they are still youths. So that's basically why we said youths. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before I will allow Ogadma, what he says sparks up something. He's trying to contextualize age within the literary periods, era. We are all familiar with that in literature. We do literary periods talking about Renaissance, Victorian, age of Victorian, Elizabethan, the current age of John Dryden, or Scopes, and what have you. Now, I think where we should start from is some age. Like, let's stop at modernism, postmodernism, and millennia. Okay, people who are born between 1985. Let us not talk about their current age now. Let's say when the offshoot, where it started from. People from 1985 to 1997 are classified as millennials. People from 1990 to 2012, according to ongoing research that I see that I can reference, 1990 to 2012 are tagged as Gen Z that we are talking about. And let me quickly tell you this, that even after this Gen Z, you already have a Gen Alpha, Gen AI, who is to take over from Gen Z. Coming, who are interrogating with it. Now, these people are going to interrogate with the evolving technology that we have not even seen. You get it now? So let us appreciate what we have now, enjoy it while it lasts. Because it is what will fade away. This Gen Z pool, I can tell you in the next 5 years, we may not be talking about it any longer. But because of the dispositions, altercations, altercations that attract scholars around Gen Z is why we are discussing Gen Z now. If you look at it from sociological perspective, all this attitudinal or behavioral pattern may not even be Gen Z's. But because the way these people carry themselves all around and this and that, make us feel that, oh, wow, this awakeness is towards Gen Z. Now, let me tell you something, it is protest culture. These Gen Z people are actually protesting. You now have kids, 3 years old, 4 years old, that say, sit down there, and she tells you, she asks you a question why she has to speak. So he or she is demanding moral justification for her to sit. So it is protest culture, and that is continuity and discontinuity, coming down to the theme of the conference. Okay, your daughter do not want to continue from where you ask him to continue. She wants to discontinue and continue from somewhere, and that's why we say this argument is open-ended. This argument, please, is open-ended. Thank you very much for your discussion. So we'll be wrapping it up.
I've not answered her question.
The time is gone already. Thank you very much for.
Okay. On behalf of the.
We have 2 minutes more to round up. This is 12:28, and this session closes 12:30.
On behalf of the board of directors of ADICO, the Journal of Humanity, our Journal of Humanity, we want to thank everyone who has participated in every panel, every session we have to be organized in the beginning of Legal Study Association for this year. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the papers you presented. Thank you. Irrespective of the different angle we are looking at it, there's no doubt that every paper has brought some new dimension to the debate beyond what we even imagined when we were calling for paper. Thank you for your diligence in preparing those manuscripts. I am an academic. I know that one of the creativity that is hard to sustain is writing. You know, if you are easy to enter the studio and say a few things, but put it to, in fact, sometimes ideas are clear in your head and then they disappear and you're like, where do I start again? So if you have written 5 pages, you've written 10 pages, it has taken a lot from you. We appreciate your efforts. So we want to thank you. An associate editor, Professor Yemi is the editor-in-chief of the journal. Is managing editor. One of us who presented the paper yesterday, Olubide Gabriel, is an associate editor. So we love the journal. The journal is currently on African Journal Online. We are about getting open index. We are looking forward to every presenter. Please finalize your paper, look at some of the comments, the ones that you feel you can take in, improve on it, the ones you want to do for further studies. But some of the ideas that people have suggested will be used for further studies. They can be incorporated, you know. So we are looking forward to you finalizing your paper and then sending it for publication. There will be a special issue by the journal, you know, on this issue, you know. But please let me tell you, it will not be because you have participated, you know, they are going to be published. The journal has a standard, and it is very critical. So even when you have submitted, it will be peer reviewed. And the peer review, please make correction and send it. As much as possible, we will publish yours. You know, if we have to refer it to any other journal, if it doesn't fit it fully, we will refer you to the journal. Once again, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of the presenter, I want to appreciate Agrigo Journal for giving this platform. Honestly, when I saw it on the social media, I said, wow, this caption is beautiful. Let me send in my paper. I already sent the paper to another panel, but when I saw it, I switched it and sent it to the panel, and it was very amazing, very interactive. So I appreciate them for that. Thank you very much. And we hope to see again next year. Thank you very much. And I want to advise that this platform should keep running. We shouldn't close the WhatsApp group because we can do a lot together. We can share information, we can interact, we can co-author. We have meet up there.
I'd like to also join in to appreciate, thank you so much for the trade, thank you, Dr. Balu, thank you. But I don't like my associate as the editor. When you don't mention your name, like, wow, this is really glad to see you for the end of it. Thank you so much, Agidigo, for the trade. Thank you so much for bringing up a beautiful panel. Really appreciate it. It's nice, next one. Everyone, so time. Thank you, Dr. Noah. You are very happy. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I noted you and everything to the level. How much you said it and feel that you are doing something so important. Thank you so much. Thank you.
As the chair of this beautiful panel, I will equally join my other colleagues. Shower a lot of praise on Agidigo Journal, thanking Professor Ademofo, and then our amiable editor, powerful editor, Dr. Ishodi. Thank you for all you do. It's beautiful we are here. And just the culture, of course, will turn out a robust discussion. Yeah. And it's an unbelievable. Thank you.